I want to break down what Joe Flacco to the Bengals means for fantasy football and all your Bengals that you might be rostering. I'm going to talk about Jamar Chase, then T. Higgins, then Chase Brown. Quick context, I'm a guy who's won exactly 36% of all the fantasy football leagues I've been in the last 20 plus years doing this thing. First, just some overarching stats I'm considering when making these evaluations. Last season, Joe Burrow led the entire NFL in catchable air yards per game. Joe Flacco was actually 7th. Even in 2025, Joe Flacco is 12th in the NFL in catchable air yards per game. Yes, it helps that he's been getting 40 attempts per game, but Browning was 27th. Flacco is second worst in the NFL, though, in EPA per play. The only player worse than him starting quarterbacks is Jake Browning. Jake Browning was off target on over 20% of his throws. That was the 5th highest in the NFL. Flacco was off target only on 14%. A lot of you may have fond memories of Joe Flacco's late season 2023 run, but there was a big drop off since then. His deep throw rate is down from 14.2% to 8.8% this season, and his ADOT average depth of target is down from 9.6 yards to 6.6 yards. Watching the film of Flacco's deep throws that were not pressured, they look amazing, honestly. He's still got it at 40 years old. Though, keep in mind that the Bengals graded as the worst pass-blocking offensive line in the entire NFL so far this season. The big concern is the Bengals' offensive line, though I think that a quarterback who's 40 years old, has a lot of experience, and lacks mobility actually could be a good thing in this situation. It really couldn't get much worse than Jake Browning, and the stats do say Joe Flacco is definitely an improvement. Don't over-extrapolate or overreact to the play calling and the variety of passes being thrown while Flacco was in Cleveland. Joe Flacco has actually never played in his whole entire career with a receiver who had 1,300 yards. Now he's got 2 of them in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. All right, let's go and talk about Jamar, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown. I've stayed steady with Jamar Chase through the ups and downs as the number 2 overall player on my board. Nothing changes that right now. You can actually see where I rank all these guys on my site, fansports.com, up here. Check it out. Unlike most Xers, I didn't overreact to a couple of bad weeks with Jake Browning. It was obvious that Jamar Chase still had elite talent, and the offense overall gets a slight upgrade with Flacco. T. Higgins also gets a clear upgrade. I've talked about before how there basically couldn't have been a worse QB match for him than Jake Browning. So I'm moving T. Higgins back up my board. He's not going to finish as the number 7 receiver like he did last season, but he could be a league winner late season. He's pretty touchdown dependent still, but I have him in that top 25 receivers. Chase Brown is another winner of this trade. Joe Flacco has targeted running backs 8 times per game so far in Cleveland this year. No guarantee that Zach Taylor is going to have the same kind of offense that targets running backs like this, but Chase Brown is a capable receiver, and he's likely to get an uptick in receptions with Flacco. Even though Samaj P. Ryan got an uncomfortable number of the snaps last week, I think that was just situational, basically. I have moving Chase Brown back up into a borderline top 15 running back rest of season. Once again, you can see all my rankings here at fansports.com, and I want your feedback on this video. What did you guys think? I've only been making videos on fantasy football for 6 or 7 weeks compared to actually playing this thing and being uncommonly good at it for 20 plus years. Some of these TikTok, fantasy football, sports gambling content creators I see with their Mr. Beast subtitles and all that were probably still in daddy's gonads when I was playing fantasy football in 5th grade. So I genuinely appreciate you guys spending a few valuable minutes of your day with me here. Stay learning. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.